Hi. Are you there?
Okay, I think I figured it out.
Yep, I can hear you now.
All right. Yeah, that took a lot of my brain power. Actually, it was really difficult. Okay, but I figured it out. I try to log in early to avoid the dilemma that we seem to have when Dabika is the host, and I can't tell her how to give me, control to record. So I log in and I set it up to record, and then I mute everything, and then it just like kind of went a little crazy this time. So, how's everybody doing? Hey, Kathy.
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm okay. Sorry, I'm still trying to get all my, why are you doing this to me? I'm trying to get it's not giving me the kind of view that I like when I'm on the chat. I like everybody in the grid, and it's not doing that for some reason. Well, I threw my back out last week, and so I've been hurting.
Oh no.
I know, that's very sad.
Sorry. Been going to the chiropractor or anything?
Well, I did acupuncture a few times. Honestly, I was in so much pain I couldn't even really imagine going to get a chiropractic adjustment just because it hurt so bad. Wow. Anyway, and I had to work in the classroom on Monday. It's been like a crisis. Is everybody sick at your school? Everybody's sick at my school. We're all sick.
We went through it last week.
Oh my God. It's like, it's pretty crazy. I forget the way that it is, in the winter. And we have a lot of staff. I had 4 staff out and just was able to move people around. We have a lot of flexibility because that happens. People get sick. But 4 out of 20, 4 out of 15, 16, 17 is a lot. That's 25% of my staff.
So is it early flu symptoms, you think?
They have had a terrible cold. A really, really bad virus. So it's not the flu, but just a terrible virus. And cough. I thought that one of them had pneumonia, but so I was like, you should go in and get checked to see.
Yeah.
And luckily she didn't have pneumonia, but they gave her to treat a sinus infection. So, and then now there's a stomach thing happening, so it's good time.
Last week it was horrible. My daughter I sent like 3 or 4 friends home in my class, and then got it, and then I got it, but it was only like 12 hours, so I felt completely fine the next day, which was nice.
That is nice, because usually it takes a minute to, like, if you vomit, like, I just feel like vomiting is the worst. It's so terrible. I don't have to tell you, but just like just your stomach being all sore from all the muscles, and I don't know, it's pretty bad. And I know that it's a really terrible illness if I vomit, because I never throw up, but I do, and it's terrible. So anyway, Hey, Laura, is that you on the telephone?
Yeah, it's me. Hold on just a sec. I gotta help my daughter.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to talk about administration. I can't believe, I feel like it's already November. You know, I just, it seems like it was just a minute ago that we were going through the summer and all the craziness of the summer.
It really does. Seems like it was like yesterday.
I know. I know it's happening. But you know, it was, I think it's, this is a great, I love this section. I thought that I get a little mixed up. Is it 6 and 7? Like it's the last two, the administration and then the toddler program administration, were really strong and totally inspiring. I loved the speakers. I don't know, I think, was her name Vidalia? I should look it up and make sure I'm saying it right. But you know who I'm talking about, the administrator of the school. I think, was she in Maryland or DC? Remember?
I think it was DC.
Yeah, I think it might have been too. So I thought that was really, she was great. Hey, Leslie. Hi, Wendy. Hey, I want to be her when I grow up. She was awesome. Like, I felt like she just is like a huge wealth of information. I feel like we scratched the surface of what she could tell us about administration. Like, I would love to sit and listen to all of the things that she's had to deal with in her career. I mean, like, you know, you don't, oh, there's my gallery view. Yay. Okay. Hey, Eugenia.
Hi.
You know, I mean, it's like, hi, Rashani.
Hey.
You know, it's just, you don't know how to deal with something until it comes up. And then when it comes up, it's almost like it's too late in a way. And you just can't think of every possibility. And sometimes I've dealt with things where I'm like, wow, I just never would have imagined that I would have my whole parent community fighting on a message board about vaccination. Like, that was something that I did not see coming. And like, there was a lot of bullying and like, how do I handle it? And, you know, just like, so as an administrator, there's just all these things that come up and you find your way through. But like, I thought that some of the things that she and Kathy said really just made me think that they have a wealth of that. Like, that they could sit and talk to us for like 3 hours about, and then this happened and this is how we dealt with it. And then this crazy thing came up and this is how we dealt with it. And then, oh, this other thing. So we could reap the benefit of their knowledge. What do you guys think? How's everybody like the last 2 weeks? I'm excited by it. So I'm like,
I do not have what it takes to be an administrator. I'm serious. I'm not that type of person. Like, I'm not that organized, and like I feel like you have to be like not afraid to speak up. And like, I am a doormat, you guys. Like, I have so much respect for people who can be in that role. Because I know I can do it.
No, it feels like it's a lot of putting out fires. I don't think I would like that. I like the idea of all the setup and preparation of running an organization, but then I want someone else to run it.
Oh man. Well, yeah, I don't blame you. It's hard. It is hard. It definitely, that's great that, you know, it's hard everywhere. Like, it's hard to be a teacher in the classroom. And I think that it's easy as a teacher to feel like, oh, if only, you know, they could be in my shoes and know what I feel and have to deal with every day, then maybe they wouldn't do what they're doing. But then the other is also true. Like, that, you know, there's a lot of things that happen at an administrative level that the administrators, if they're a good administrator, you'll never know. You'll never know that it came up. You'll never know that they stepped in between whatever it was. and, like their teacher, to interact with that uncertainty and protect the teachers so that they could do. So it goes both ways is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, part of the reason I think that having such a great curriculum as part of the training is to give you that foundation so that you could move into that role someday, because that does seem to be kind of how it works, right? The teachers get promoted and become administrators oftentimes, for good or for bad or for whatever. That's what happens. And but also to give, if you've never been an administrator, to give you a perspective a little bit about
Absolutely. Yeah.
craziness that that administrators have to interact with. So well, yeah. So anyway, there's Tavika. Hi. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How
I
are
just
you?
came a little late because I know otherwise you will have difficulty coming in. That's why I'm just waiting till you come in.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I
That's
logged in early and
yeah,
got
that's what
set up.
I expected.
We are quite a team.
Yeah, we
Awesome.
understand each other by now.
It's so true.
And this is the first cohort that I will be ending. So I don't have that much of knowledge. So when you are communicating with Terry, I'm just reading it so that I can learn from it. But this is the first time that I'm also finishing this cohort.
I thought that you'd been through, you haven't been through the cohort before?
No.
When did you?
This is my first cohort. I started not this summer, the summer before. So.
Oh, with the cohort, you started. Yeah. Everybody started together. Oh,
yeah.
For some reason, I thought that you had been through it all.
No, I know Kitty because I went for their accreditation process for the training program.
Okay.
And that's when she picked me up and she asked me to do the FC visit. So when I was doing the FC visit, she read my reports and she liked it. So she asked me if I can join them. So I said that I can only join if somebody trained me with this technology because I don't know anything about these modules. So Terry right away said, no, I will do it. And she's really helping me with all along. Whenever I have any problem, I just call her and she's there.
She is pretty responsive. And that's kind of
so we are in the same page and same boat.
Yeah. So the questions that are coming up at the end are great. Like I've been going back to the Green Book and just kind of reading it over and over again. And
you were reading it and then you were putting it there and I'm learning.
Well, it's
what a team.
Totally. Well, we're talking, Dabika, about administration, obviously. So
you do it very good, I know.
I don't know. Well, I care about it, I think, in a way that I never cared about it before. Like, I care about administration now that I'm, really, I don't have my foot in both sides. I'm not teaching and trying to administrate. I'm only focused on administration. And I think that that makes a big difference. Is taking it seriously, like trying to do the best that you can. It's a lot like teaching, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're in a Montessori organization, one would hope that it would be a place where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full human potential, right? That it's not just the children that we're working with. And I'm 46, and so I could legitimately be the parent of many of the women that work for me. And it is really, so what I've come to understand and how this this module all kind of comes together is that we are in many ways supporting the development of young adults, of women, of people who are in the fourth plane of development. Right. So like
you have now young teachers.
Yeah, I mean, some are, you know, or people just graduated from college, so like 20.
Oh, great. And I,
Young.
you know, New York is different. So when I was working in New York, I have different age groups. Some are, like my mother's age. They're working for me. So it was a different kind of, the whole statistics was different. So, but it was helpful because sometimes I even learned something from my staff, from their experience, from their life experiences. Yeah. Um, it's very interesting though. It's very interesting when you have college graduates and then middle age and then old age all together, and they learn from each other. It's very, because when there is a different generations, we always learn from this coming generation, and they also can learn from us,
We
from
have
their life experience.
Yeah.
So it
we
was
have a
interesting.
wide range at our school too, Dabika. We have some people in their early 20s, and then we have a woman, Judy, who's 70 something.
Yes,
that's
I know.
awesome.
I have that
It's
experience.
amazing.
Actually, in the cities like New York, Philadelphia, you will always have that.
Well, we have our most kind of diverse, I think, staff that we've ever had in terms of age and you know, ethnicity. And so
I have that. Yes.
Oregon has a terribly, horribly racist history. And so like when I go to the Bay Area where I'm from, it's just so, it's so much nicer, honestly, to just be in a more like culturally diverse place, because Oregon is very homogenous. It's difficult. It's one of, I think, the problems that we face. And so recruiting a diverse workforce is a real challenge. And so that's one of the reasons why my staff is young, because if I find someone that I think I could train, I'm inclined to do that. Like I want,
Yes, of course.
so, cause then you don't have to unlearn bad habits and you start fresh.
Correct. Yes.
So,
that's easy though.
what,
Easy.
how about everyone else? Like, did you feel like could you see, were the last couple weeks like a mirror for your own experience? Did it reinforce some of the great things that your administrators are doing, or what kind of places would you see a little growth opportunity, and how would we broach those subjects, all of that stuff? I'm eager to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely. My director or head of school, she's the owner, she's the CASA teacher, she kind of does everything. And I really admire her a lot. She's very passionate about Montessori. And the first year I worked for her, I was just in awe of everything she did, and I tried so hard to do everything right. She didn't give me a whole lot of guidance. So the first year was kind of rough, but we're in our third year now, and I see that she has kind of mellowed out, and I'm rising in my confidence level. So I can look at her and say, I probably wouldn't do it that way, but it's not my classroom. Yeah. So I don't say anything, but to just not have her, way up on a pedestal like she used to be to me. And now I see a couple of things she could do better, but most of the things I'm really fortunate to be working for her.
That's great. It's comforting to feel that way. I mean, and then also to know that like she's growing too. She's learning through this experience. She's responding to things that come up. I mean, that's so, in so many ways, that's how Montessori teaching does prepare us to be an administrator, because we are trained to observe and reflect, and a good Montessori administrator is doing those things. And so you're hopeful that they're not going to make the same mistake, because they will make mistakes, because we are human. And so I think that helps to not put administrators up on a pedestal, because they're people, you know, and just like everybody else, and it's new, and to a lot of people, especially those who have been like recruited to leadership positions in their school. And I know I was hoping Anne would join us, because she's someone that I know was a teacher, but then is an administrator. But Eugenia has a lot of experience as an administrator and a teacher. So, and you have your feet in both sides.
Yeah. And also, when a lot of Montessori schools that I worked as a Montessori director, executive director or educational director, and then they have an administrator who can be non-Montessori. And that situation, like when there is an administrator come director and not Montessori, there are a lot of chaos in the school. When there is an administrator who is not a Montessori person certified, and an executive or educational director who is a Montessori person, and then they have a board, and you can go there and discuss all those things, and they understand, and they don't really interfere with the classroom environment or any Montessori philosophy or pedagogy. And that helps a lot, and that makes the organization running very smoothly when there is actually, in comparison to the administration without any Montessori experience. Have you ever experienced that, any of you, that your administrator is not a Montessori person? How did it go?
Can you guys hear me?
Here, get closer. We gotta get closer.
You are soft spoken. We know that. So make it the volume higher.
I don't know what it is with my computer. I really don't know. So I've worked in a couple of schools, and one of them was, so it was a preschool. At the time I was working for primary. That was turned into a Montessori. And so you can only imagine the director at the school had no idea what Montessori was. The teachers had no idea what Montessori was.
Oh, that's
it was a struggle. It was really a struggle until they were able to see results. And then they were able to see, not them, I think the parents were able to see results, and then the parents would come and make comments to them saying, oh my gosh, I'm walking into the school and I don't hear children screaming, I don't see children running around. When they started making comments like that, and that's when they realized, oh yeah, this is actually working. So once she actually hit that point where, oh, this is working, now I see what you're talking about, everything changed. But until that, it wasn't like that. It was so hard to convince. Say, look, this is how it's gonna go. This is how we walk. This is how we talk. This is how we do everything. But that was like that. So they had to have that aha moment. Once she and the other person had the aha moment, everything was perfect. But it wasn't easy. It really wasn't easy, though.
Well, when you have really the head of the school is the educational director. I mean, that's like the principal, that's what it should be. And so when you have a head of school, depending on how big your school is, you might have like a business, like a CFO, or like someone who handles the business part. Eugenia, how do you handle that? Do you have a director of operations, or do you handle all of the administration?
I do everything by myself. Wow. Yeah. Well, I handle like separate services for marketing and design, because I also studied advertising. I major in advertising and in journalism, so it helps me a lot. But I don't know anything about design. So I hire someone like for the marketing design and for accounting that I really don't like it.
Yeah.
But basically I do everything. I do the shopping for the groceries. If I don't know everything. But what I have discovered for me,
children you have. What is it? Is a small school? How many children
you have? Around 35, 45.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a medium-sized school. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have 5 teachers. Yeah, 3 teachers and 2 assistants. And I have someone that helps me with the phone.
The teacher helps you?
The one that helps me most is like my administrative assistant. She opens early in the morning at 6 a.m. and she closes at 6 p.m. and she handles the calls and helps me with many things because I like to be in the classroom as well. So this year has been really difficult because I have been in the classroom more than any other years. So it has taken a lot of my time and I have been doing extra work at home, but everything is okay. But I do everything. Yeah. It's exhausting.
I remember those days. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
It's
cannot imagine
challenging,
doing
though.
it
It's
differently.
really
Like
challenging.
it can be really difficult for me, like to have, I don't know, someone next to me after, well, I've been doing this for 15 years now. So I don't know if I can do it with someone else. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know.
That's exactly how I felt when because I was a small school. I had 2 houses, so 32 children altogether. And then I merged with another kind of similarly sized school, and I became like the pedagogical director, and my business partner did all the administration. She like interfaced with the parents, and it was very difficult for me. And the only reason that I was able to give up that control was because she basically did everything how I would do it. But whenever she did something different, it was really challenging for me because things, I don't know if you could tell this about me, but they have to go my way. Like I freak out. I like it when things go my way. So
and it's very hard. It's very hard for anybody to do in your way. They have their own way, and it has to be.
I know, and it's just as valid as my way. I know. I've had to do a lot of personal growth around that notion.
Yeah, it's difficult. I actually, when I was converting the public school into Montessori school with magnet money, federal government magnet money funding. So it's public school. They have no clue of what is Montessori is. And the first meeting I had, the parents came and asked me, what religion is that? So I started from there, and it's in Virginia. I started from there, and then now the principal, she was very nice though. She was non-Montessori, and I brought Michael Dora's training program there, a satellite program, to train my teachers in different levels of early childhood and elementary. And I asked the principal, why didn't you take the training with this program? Because we are giving them lump sum money, so she doesn't have to pay. It's not from her pocket, everybody, all the magnet money. And she started taking the training. So I could, naturally, and she was very nice too. She was into it. She liked it. When I took the job, before that, I did a presentation to the school board and the parents. And she was there, and she really enjoyed it, and she was interested, so she took the training with so it was much easier. And then when she left, the other, because public school, they changed the principals and stuff. When the other principal came, now I hear that they're having real chaotic situation there. Half Montessori, half traditionalism itself. So because a lot of things doesn't make any sense to this new lady. So some of the teachers, even that I trained them, they left. They took another job because it's really sad that.
Well, I mean, they say that when people leave a job, it's usually because they leave the manager that they, and so I take that to heart. Like, I think that
it is.
I did that. I worked they have a big hospital corporation here, and they have a child care center. I worked there for 16 years, and I had started going through training, and we moved into a bigger building, and the CEO of our hospital had her child in Montessori and wanted to create a 3 to 6 year old class. So she hired a Montessori teacher, made a Montessori classroom inside of the daycare program. And so I actually went down there to be the assistant. And I just kind of did whatever. I was like, okay, that seems to work. I'll do that. But then afterwards, it was about 4 months into it, she said, the CEO came to pick up her child and said, would you be willing to go to training? And I was like, sure. So I did go to training. And after I did, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, I understand, this is great. And so then I became the lead teacher in that classroom, and I was there for another like 5 or 7 years. So total, I was at that corporation for 16 and a half years. And then 4 years before I quit, our director retired. She was not Montessori trained. Nobody was Montessori trained except for the 2 that worked, me. And then I hired 2 other people to be my assistant because we had 30 kids and 3 teachers. And they were Montessori trained. So all 3 of us were. Our director retired, and they hired a new director, and they wanted her to be Montessori trained. So she actually went to the training, and I was her mentoring teacher, which was really awkward because she didn't believe in Montessori, and she thought that the things that that I was doing, like, I had to explain to her why I would use the sandpaper letters and why I didn't use just pen and paper. She was like, you need to have these kids write with pen and paper. And she like didn't like the practical life area because she thought that they weren't doing anything and they weren't getting anything out of it. And like, there was just a whole, and so I actually worked there for about 3 years and argued with her and like tried to be her mentoring teacher. And then finally I was like, I can't work here anymore, because she came in one day and just took a whole bunch of Montessori materials out. And I came in on Monday morning and I was like, what the heck went on here? And she's like, we don't need any of this in here. We need to do this program. And it was like, I don't even remember what it was. It was like no tears or reading with no tears or something like that. And I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. So I, after 16 and a half years, quit. And I became a nanny for a couple of years. And I loved it, but I missed the classroom so much. So that's when, and I knew our head of school, or the owner of the school that I work for now. And I came to her and said, I need to be in the classroom. She's like, yes, you do. So I went back to work about 4 years ago. This is my 4th year with her. And it is amazing, the difference between, because she's Montessori trained, and they do a training site, or we are a training site.
Actually, to them, the pre-reading skill has a different meaning. For us, pre-reading skill is the basic thing before we start giving the children the, reading or writing. But they have a different meaning to it. So that's why they don't get it.
Yeah. So I lasted for 3 years, and then I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
It's challenging. It's very challenging.
I still have people that work there that they pay really good, but that's about the only thing. And it's just crazy there, the turnover, because she actually got demoted to, which didn't make any sense to me, the curriculum director, because she was partially Montessori trained. But yeah, it's crazy up there now. So I'm very, very, very happy and thankful for my she's the owner of our school, but and her husband, and the office ladies, they're great. So I've been on both ends.
Yeah. Eugenia, how much does your husband help you? I was curious.
He's here next to me.
Yeah. Hi. Because my husband helps me a lot.
Well, no, he handles accounts, and well, when I have to go to, I don't know, to buy, I don't know, to fix the roof, or something went wrong with the alarm, or things that I've learned. The other day we have it's really rainy here right now, And we have a problem with the roof, but it's because the neighbor has like a guajava tree. I don't know if you know what is guajava. It's like fruit that's pink inside. Well, the thing is that squirrels love guajavas, so they go and all the seeds are in my in my roof, and I was like kind of desperate, so finally I got the ladder and went up on the roof, and I was like, I cannot believe I'm on the roof. I even don't do that. Yeah, of course I couldn't fix it, but I wanted to know what was going on the roof. Yeah, so yeah, we do everything.
Yeah. It's it's a family. I think it is a family affair. I don't know how Ben and I, he's come more and more and more on board. And then when my business partner moved to Australia, he's like definitely, he kind of took a lot of the stuff that she did over. So which is cool because they're very similar. So what questions or comments or one of the things that I was gonna talk to you or ask about is on the message board or the Moodle. No one's responded to this idea of the rules, like licensing and I every time, every one of her videos, I just was like, I do that same thing. And I've said exactly those words. So it was really cool to, we're very aligned, but I feel very passionately that Montessori teachers can't bury their head in the sand and ignore those, the rules that govern us, because, choices get made and rules get changed, and nobody's thinking about Montessori. They're thinking about the lowest common denominator. They're thinking about the most vulnerable population and like Head Start and traditional play-based childcare. They're not thinking about Montessori. And so kind of that stewardship idea, I think, is really important. And so I wanted to hear your ideas about like small things that maybe you could do to stay in the loop, because nobody is going to invite us to like the proverbial table where all of the rules get made. So we have to find our own path there. And it's so critical that you guys know how to do that a little bit, to stay on top of things or stay connected with your state network. So what do you have to say to that?
I have a friend that is part of our Stars to Quality program.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so I think I've talked a little bit about it before. She's really interested in it. She's our liaison for our school for it too. Mm-hmm. So when they're saying like, you can't have potty chairs, like that's out of the, it's a point system. So they come in, they evaluate your school, and you get such point system, and they give you like ideas to do different things. Like one of them was I needed a block center in my classroom, and then I needed things that go with my block center. And so really like taking her in there and going, okay, well, this is the idea that you're looking for and the things that you want to teach the kids. This is how we do it in Montessori, and this is, what we put into play for that. And so really explaining to her, then she goes to bat for us to the state, mm-hmm. and then we can back her up at the same time. So we've done that for like the last couple of years, tried to teach her of like, this is what you're looking for, this is, that kind of thing. And then she actually, her and I actually talked a couple months ago, and she said, I really want you to come in and talk about how Montessori does like floor beds, and how they can incorporate that into their daycare, and this is the reasons why. And so not right now, because I'm going to finish school first, but she's like, I really want to get together with you and help, because that's where all the continuing education too for our state to be certified to have you on their practitioner registry list, you have to have continuing education hours.
Yep.
And here, the nurturing center where she works is all part of that. And so they put on like 90% of the trainings for everybody in the valley to have, or in our county. Even actually, it's not even in our county. It's like in our half of the state, because she travels quite a bit. So she wants to partner, ask me to come in and help her teach some of those trainings, like the
That's a great opportunity.
Stuff. So it is. I'm like, when she first asked me, I went, I don't know any of that. But then it was like, okay, maybe I do. So I'm excited to do that portion of it, to help spread, things that, even though you're not a Montessori school, but this is how you can use a floor bed and how you can incorporate that kind of stuff into.
Yeah, people are actually surprisingly open to some of the, like, I've gone to the Oregon Association for, the NACCE affiliate conferences and presented, and I haven't even said anything about Montessori. I just kind of talk about like, like I did this one presentation about the child's right to feel, like, to their feelings, and it was all Rye and Montessori and language, and people were like, wow, and then I started talking, at the end I might say I'm a Montessori teacher, but I typically don't. Like, I typically don't say anything about myself, except that if you want to know who I am, like my bio, like I'm sure you read my bio, so you know all about me. But what you mentioned, Chris, about the state registry, so that is the one really great reason for you to get involved with advocacy on some level, because in for example, in the state of Oregon, all of the, they have this professional development registry, and like you get a step, it's a 12-step process, and then when they start tying that to like stars, or like in my state it's called Spark, you get certain points for having well qualified staff. Well, they told me that my Montessori credential counted for nothing, and that I could get community-based training for it. And so I actually worked with my state advocacy group called the Oregon Montessori Association and the Oregon Center for Career Development to articulate a pathway for Montessori credential holders at infant, toddler, primary, and elementary levels. But that work had to be done, and it had to be done in every single state. And so the different states have their own systems. And so you want to make sure that, and it really, it was a little bit of work, but MACD did the heavy lifting, and now there's like templates for using the work that we did in Oregon that can be used in other states.
I know our owner is doing that same thing, and I know she gets together with some other Montessori teachers, I'm not sure, or owners of schools, and they get together and she does a lot of stuff with the state legislation and all of that, writes letters, and so I should ask her about it someday. But I mean, she's always talking about different stuff, and that, you should write a letter about this and the reason why we do this, and support so-and-so because they're trying to, so she keeps us informed.
Well, anybody else have any thoughts about that? Yep, Shelby.
I was going to say that I'm learning about all of the, rules. And after going to a few conferences in different areas in South Carolina, I learned that the rules are different by county in South Carolina. So in Charleston, they can have floor beds, and then in Spartanburg, where I live, you can't have floor beds. And it's just really weird, some of the rules that we have to go by. And I learned at one of the conferences I went in Charleston for the MEPI conference that the ladies were working on changing legislation in their state, and that they said that the best thing to do was sign the waiver, like they were talking about in the middle. And you can start out by getting the parents to sign waivers. You know, I know that there's glass in my child's classroom and things like that that can help you get past some of those things. But I think that I would want to fight for more consistency, because that is, you know, from county by county, that's a big difference.
Yeah, why is it safe in Charleston for children to be on floor beds, but in Spartansburg,
right,
it's not safe? It's hard to understand. It's hard to understand why one school should have an exception to a rule and another school. I mean, I guess barring like a significant, you know, safety issues and whatnot. But
it's kind of the same thing for us too. So I know that my analyst hates flow beds, my LPA.
Yeah, people feel really strongly about it. It's interesting.
And she just hates it. So what we have said is like, we do have cribs. However, our parents, they are infant room. We do have cribs for them, but our parents, like, if they're cool with that, we just do the flow bed for them. But then when the LPA comes in, we still have the cribs in. So they wouldn't know what exactly is happening, which is sad. But at the same time, I know that a school down probably 30 minutes away, their LPA is totally cool with that. So it's like, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we just have to make sure our LPA is fine with what we do, and then we've tried to convince, and we've tried to, but it's so hard, which is sad, because it's like the more you try to convince them, the more annoyed, frustrated that they get. I feel like, you know. So honestly, I think it's the person that we work with. It's just every LPA is different, and their choices, their mindset is different.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of like there's a big push for safe sleep standards here in Oregon, and like everybody has to do a safe sleep training. Like we've had several infants die in care in the state of Oregon in the last year. So it's really like brought a spot. Whenever something happens in one daycare in the state, like what you'll see is that the repercussions are you feel the repercussions. All of a sudden licensing is this is a problem, and so we need to address it. So, but infants dying is a problem. I mean, that's a very serious problem. And so there's something happening where there's not enough stringent regulation around infant sleep. And what we're asking for when we ask for a crib exception is we're asking for a pedagogical exception. It's not a research-based exception. There's no research out there that shows that children develop better when they're on a floor bed. And then there is research that shows that cribs can be safer. So we have to make a pedagogical argument about our Montessori values. We value unhindered vision and movement. We value independence. And when a child is in a crib, they are dependent upon us to put them in and to remove them. And I actually argue for safety when I write my exception with the floor bed, because I actually think that it is safer for children to be on floor mats with a teacher in direct proximity to them. I cannot see children as clearly when they're in a crib. I can't monitor them. And when children are in mats around you, when they start to wake up after 30 minutes, you teach them to go back to sleep. Infants need a little bit longer nap, and you know what? I'm right there. Like I will notice if someone is not breathing, if someone needs attention, in a way that if they were in a crib, I don't think that I would be aware of it. So our waivers are pretty convincing, but there's always hesitation because it's, if a licensor has a center that they license and that center has a safety violation, that blows back on the licensor.
That's probably what it is then, yeah.
Yeah. And if they've gotten into trouble or something like that for being too lenient, it just depends, it all comes from the top. So they're like, it almost feels like they get a memo and the memo says, do this, focus on this. And so they're all like hyper vigilant about making sure that every teacher is signed in. And you're like, okay, I have 3 teachers. I'm going to know if there's an emergency, if one of them is not here. Like it's not, I don't need to look at the attendance log, but that was the thing that so anyway, it's important to to try to have a congenial relationship because really when you're doing advocacy, anything kind of political relies on relationships, and so when you are in a relationship with an official, and you will be, because they'll come into your classroom and they'll ask you questions, and you have to be nice to them, and you have to treat them with, even if they ask a dumb question or are rude to you, because we've had that happen, and it's really difficult to deal with someone who's very rude to your teachers, but to continue to like kind of give that customer service and be, it's tough. Kathy, you're probably looking at regulations in Michigan, right?
Yeah, I found it was really strange when I saw our licensing person come in to the school I was at. She didn't even come through the class. She just based her report on history of the school. Actually,
Wow.
She sat outside and she monitored the backyard, the playground area, but everything else she just based it on the history. And the school had a very good history, so she basically passed them on that.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, I'd rather have that kind of renewal than a different kind.
Especially in New York State, I know, Eugenia, you have some questions, right? Yeah, go ahead.
You're muted.
Do you have that visit once a year, or I don't know, every semester?
Yeah, once a year.
Oh, okay. Here we get them every 3 years.
Wow.
That would be great. Oh my gosh.
Where are you?
We get one annual renewal, and then we have one like surprise inspection.
Surprise visit, yes, in New York too.
Some point during the year.
In New York, actually, you will have one that is annual, and then they can, over the year, they can come anytime they would like to.
Yeah.
So
you
last
can
year,
2 or 3 visits. Yeah.
in the last year, licensing had visited our school 6 times.
What happened? Did someone get hurt?
No, there was a complaint, a teacher complaint saying that there were unqualified teachers and ratios were not maintained during breaks in the infant room. So our license is such that I don't know if it's the same everywhere, that you can have a person who doesn't have units as long as there are other people who have units. So you can have one person.
Mm-hmm.
So first time she came in. So first time, then she went and so our director gave all the information. She said it's not enough for her. She came back again because now the qualification part was taken care of, but the ratios and the breaks, how are we going to prove that?
Oh, you got to sign in and out for all of that stuff.
No, and then but thing is that so we have the daily role that we take in our classroom.
Uh-huh.
So they wanted and plus we have a break log that the teachers signed. That wasn't enough. That wasn't enough for them.
What more could they want?
Oh my gosh, they wanted break. Okay, let's say for 3 weeks, like it was for 3 weeks that we had to write it. So that on the let's say 20th, 8 o'clock we had 4 babies, and these are the 2 people who was in the classroom. At 8:30, like every half an hour we had to write down. I mean, really.
Wow.
And so again they came. So they came 3 times, and the 3rd time they said that, and then we said, you can watch the camera. Honestly, you can go back on the camera for a week, but then by the time that the incident has happened, has been more than a week. But I said, but if you think the school is not keeping up with ratios, watch the camera, see how many people are there. They didn't want to. And then the 3rd time they came in, they interviewed all the teachers. They interviewed, and then they finally said that okay, they have to call the person who made the complaint. And which is weird. Anyway, then the 5th time they came and said, the 4th time they came and said, oh, everything is good. I'm just making sure it's not found. Everything is fine. That was an easy one. Then 6th time was when a child had a seizure. So we had to, one of our babies had a seizure, so we had to inform them. So they came to follow up on that. And the final one was the annual visit. Can you believe it? How many times?
That's a lot of times.
I mean, at the end of it, we all were like so friendly because we were like, they were at our school more than anywhere. But all for ratios.
So was it eventually unfounded? The complaint was, yeah. So why do you think that teacher complained?
Because so what happened, this is a story that we know that the LPA doesn't know. So she accidentally tried to give somebody else's bottle to another child. Yes, so a teacher stopped her, but that teacher came and told the director, hey, this happened, I'm letting you know, the child didn't drink the different child's bottle, however, this was going to happen because she wasn't following protocols. So when the director spoke to her, she wasn't happy about that. She was like, oh, I mean, I never did that. But then again, it's not okay for the person who was, you know what I mean, you know. Then she went back to the classroom and she started yelling at the teacher, saying that, I mean, it's sad. And then so the director had to say, hey, you need to walk out because it's not the right thing to do. Then she said, she even threatened them down the hallway, I'm going to call the labor department, you're not talking to me nicely, you're harassing me for pretty much asking the person not to yell at another teacher. You know? So clearly she was not a right fit, she wasn't. So.
And she's the one who made the mistake?
Yeah, and she's the one who complained.
That is crazy.
We actually had something happen yesterday that I just found out about, and I'm hoping that no one comes because of it. Yesterday afternoon around, I guess, 5 o'clock, after I've already left and I picked up my son, a parent came to pick up their child. And the way that our school is, there are 2 buildings and they're connected in the middle, so the children can't get anywhere if they're in the middle and there's a playground in the back. Mm-hmm. Well, a child was in the breezeway by themselves, and it was the child of the parent, and the parent saw the child and went in the classroom and said, did you see they were out here by themselves? And the assistants, the afternoon assistants were like, he was in here and we counted him and we know he was in here. He must have got out of the door somehow. And it was a big ordeal. And I said, if I was a parent, I do not know what I would have done, honestly. Because that is very, very dangerous. And
well, it's a violation of the licensing.
And I mean, that's very dangerous. That's why I know the child could have died. Anything could have happened. And so I don't know if what's going to happen next. And for it to be my child's classroom and his assistants, I know they're going to be more vigilant now. And they decided to lock the doors, where now the parents have to knock on the doors to come in. They have to unlock the door.
Yes.
But I said to myself, I can hear the children when they go to the door. It's a very heavy door. I can hear them going in and out. I wonder if a parent was coming in or out. But a parent would have seen a child that wasn't theirs come out.
Yeah.
I don't understand what happened, honestly. But if I was that parent.
Somebody was not paying attention. That's what happened, for
right,
sure.
And I would have wondered how long that child was out there.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, among many.
They really need to apologize to the parent and make him calm down. And it is really very tough for a parent.
That's a problem.
I will not tolerate if something happens to my son like that.
Right. I would have decided to leave the school, or I probably wouldn't have been able to think in that moment. But I would have wanted to know how long it would have taken for them to realize that he was gone.
Yeah.
Well, that's why there needs to be really clear and easy to follow systems in place for monitoring the children at every
transition. And I tell them at each point when to count the children and what to do next and things like that. And they said that he was in there and that they were all in there. It was 2 assistants and 9 children. And he went to the bathroom.
9 children, 2 assistants.
Right. And that he went to the bathroom and everything. And then all of a sudden he was gone.
What's happening?
Oh, sorry.
Shawnee's sharing her screen with us.
I'm sorry.
No, well, it's someone's responsibility. It was whoever the person in charge's responsibility to make sure that child was accounted for. And I fired someone last year for that.
Well, the thing is, they didn't even tell the head of the
school. I did that.
Yeah.
They did not tell the head of the school that it happened. She had to find out today by the parent. And if I would have made a mistake, I would have went
going to make a complaint definitely.
I did this.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see what comes of it. I mean, if it wasn't your fault, I would just try to stay out of it as much as
stay out of it.
And then be like, count those kids all the time. I mean, because you're the one that's in charge. And so if there isn't a really clear system in place in your school or your classroom to make sure that the children are accounted for, like every 15 minutes outside, I would strongly advise you to do that, to put one in.
Always remember, every minute you should be counting.
Yeah, and anytime you move the children, you count them before you move them.
Any transition.
Yeah, and you check them off.
Yes.
So we have like a bunch of dry erase boards. We have paper sign in and out. We know when they go out to the playground and who goes with them. We know when teachers come in to break other staff. So we have a paper, and you have to keep that paper trail, because if we didn't have something like that and a teacher complained in retaliation and licensing came out and I couldn't produce those records, even though I was in compliance, they would have to find it a valid complaint because I couldn't prove it otherwise. And in the state of Oregon, that goes on your record now for 10 years. And so people can just there's a website, and all of the violations that you've had show up on the website. So anyway, well, we have 4 minutes, so I what's burning on your mind? Any last minute questions, observations, comments, thoughts?
Anybody has any question? And this is our last meeting, right? Before the
review. We have review the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We take a break for Thanksgiving. So
I have a question. The original material that we made in residency, does that count towards us making original material, or do we have to do something else?
The original material that you made during the residency, was it in a group project or you just did it by yourself? If it is your personal original, then yes, you can do that. Otherwise, if you are doing it all together, because when we were in residency, we made a lot of stuff all together.
But I thought the original material assignment is supposed to be that you observed a need of a child in your class and then created a material.
It's based on your observations. That's what I thought too.
So I would think it has to be a new one.
Yeah.
I have a question about that also. So I have a plan that I want to use, but it's materials that I did not physically make. It's just an idea where I put things together to make something. Do you see what I'm saying? I didn't.
Yeah. You put together an activity.
Print or paste or
Yeah. Kathy, did that answer your question though?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I don't have a classroom. That's
I know. We'll have to talk about how to satisfy that requirement. I'm going to make a note. Okay. Well, tonight's my anniversary. I've been married for 14 years. So
happy anniversary.
Congratulations. Have a nice, wonderful evening.
Yeah, thank you. I know, October 30th. We met on Halloween 20 years ago, actually. So. Okay, well, we're at 6:28. So you have me for 2 more minutes.
I think Irenia just sent us an email. If you check it, Mercedes.
Okay.
Now we can answer that.
Yeah, my question is that I have in my case, I have my own assistant packet that I already have.
Yeah.
But obviously it's in Spanish. So I don't know if there's no point for me in doing it in English. So obviously I have to improve it with all the things that I've learned. But my question is if I kind of load it in Spanish, or
you can load it if you give without translation. I won't understand anything. I don't know about Mercedes. So if you can make a translation of it, you can put the original with the translation. So we understand what does that mean. You know what I mean?
Or could we have
it's like 40
what
pages.
about having your field consultant read it? Maybe we could have Stephanie. Is that Samantha? What was her name? Sorry.
Yeah, Stephanie.
Stephanie.
He speaks Spanish, right?
Yeah, let's talk to Terry, because I don't want to have to do extra work if no one's ever going to read it in English. Maybe we can just ask Stephanie to look at it and make sure that it has all the required components.
Okay.
Okay. Let me know.
But in future, if you send me anything, make sure it has a translation. I cannot understand Spanish.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Eugenia, I'll follow up with you. And then the last administrative kind of thing is that I learned today that the adult learners fill out the exam eligibility chart. So you guys fill it out, and then we double check to make sure that it's accurate. So.
Okay.
We fill it out, and then
everybody is completed with their practicum.
Your exam eligibility chart. That's what Terry's email to you said, Leslie, to fill out the exam eligibility chart and then give it to your IG and they would check it. So I guess
so just scan it and then email it.
Yeah.
Or put it on. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever way you can send it. That's good.
And it's on the team book.
Yeah. All
right. Email will be great.
Okay. I'll see you guys next week.
Bye. Have a